Primarily, I was known as the Down Under detox lady. So I got into liver cleansing because I had a clinic and we dealt with detoxing through colon hydrotherapy. And a major thing that a lot of clients come back to me, they said they were either going through a liver cleanse or wanting to know about liver cleansing, and part of that involves the liver cleanse into the colon. So when Peter had that serious problem and they were going to remove his gallbladder, that's when I really let's start working on the liver with the colon cleanse and start doing to see if this really works. So I'm going to go through the functions of the liver, and we might be a review to some of the things that Peter brought out. So the more you hear it, the more you remember, right? So do you suffer from gallstones, psoriasis, gluten intolerance, heart disease, back pain, asthma, high cholesterol, abdominal bloating, poor digestion, frequent fatigue, headaches, unpleasant moods or depression, fatty liver, allergies, overburdened immune system, bad breath and coated tongue, irritable bowel syndrome, high blood pressure, sugar cravings, skin problems, inability to lose or gain weight, arthritis and gout, brown spots on the skin or age spots, yellowish tinge in the eyes or skin, hormonal imbalances, dark colour under the eyes, problems with vision, nausea and vomiting, joint and knee problems, shoulder pain, difficulty sleeping, cold extremities, hot and cold flashes, chronic fatigue, food cravings, cancer, and the list goes on. So, do you resonate with anything on that list?
Anything not on that list?
Well, the list went on. I mean, I thought, okay, I'll stop here. I think we've kind of covered nearly what anyone could have. We all suffer from a touch of one of those, and as we get older, we realize we have problems in those areas. If your answer is yes, you may need to look at your liver. So what does the liver do? Your liver is one of the most amazing organs in your body, but it's hard to truly love and appreciate it if you don't understand it. So let's get to know and love our liver, because our liver loves us. The liver is essential to the functions of the human body. It's very hard to remove that, right? It sits on the right-hand side of your abdomen, just below your diaphragm, behind your ribs. And if you ever have pain in that area, especially up in your back area and your right shoulder, that's your liver gallbladder area. It's the largest internal organ in your body, about the size of a rugby ball, weighing in around, who knows, metric, about 5 pounds, right? So it's quite a substantial organ. It is responsible for performing many functions that are critical to your well-being. Your liver is the only organ in your body that has ability to regenerate itself by creating new tissues. So that's why your liver loves you. It can regenerate. If we don't let it go too long, where if we get psoriasis, the liver is actually hardened and it's kind of turns into a pretty fatal problem. And to work with that is really hard and impossible to kind of reverse that condition. So we want to stop that and give you information today so that you won't get to a point where the liver is so bad that it can't regenerate itself. So it's a very forgiving organ. It's very amazing because we know where the word liver comes from, right? It comes from the word life, to live. The liver comes from the word to live. In the Bible, it also talks about the liver, and it symbolizes the seat of life and deep emotions. If you look at Lamentations, can we look up in the Bible, Lamentations 2:11? And it talks about the liver. There's a few spots in the Bible where it actually brings up the liver, how it symbolizes that. And it says, "My eyes do fail with tears, my bowels are troubled. My liver is poured upon the earth for the destruction of the daughter of my people, because the children and the sucklings swoon in the streets of the city." So that talks about the grief of the liver. So what does your liver do every day? Your liver is a huge filter. Do we have filters in our house? Where is the main filters that we have? We have a big filter coming in from the outside water to the inside house. And if we didn't have that, we would have rocks and stones and calcium and all sorts of things coming in. And we also have a filter for drinking, so our water can be even more pure. So that's how the liver is to us. It tries to protect us. So when things come in, it wants to filter it and give the body the best it can from what it comes down. So it breaks down hormones and old blood cells. It makes and stores and releases sugars and fats. It produces essential proteins, including blood clotting factors and enzymes. It aids in digestion by releasing bile salts to break down food. And bile, we'll get to that a little bit later, is very important in helping break down the food and clean out a lot of the little debris of waste, kind of little fuzz balls that are in there. Stores and supplies vitamins, minerals, and iron to parts of the body where they are needed. And it metabolizes proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. And we knew before it produces that and gives us energy. Filters the blood and helps removal of harmful chemicals and bacteria and creates bile. Helps assimilate and store fat-soluble vitamins. Stores extra blood, which can be released later. Creates serum proteins, which maintain fluid balance and act as carriers. It helps maintain electrolyte and water balance. Creates immune substances such as gamma globulin. And so what makes it so important? Your liver is your very own chemical processing plant. It receives 30% of the blood circulating in your system every minute. And these things just happen and just go on. Amazingly, we can't see it, but this is what's going on inside us. It's performing chemical reactions to remove harmful toxins and distribute and store essential vitamins. This vital process is called metabolism, and the cells in the liver known as hepatocytes are put to work to keep your body working at its best, and essentially your liver loves and cares for you. So every time you eat, we learn all about digestion, and where often we forget all about what happens with the liver. So we eat, we know the food goes in the digestive system, and then that gets sorted out in the small intestine and it gets absorbed. But then once the food is digested, then nutrients enter the blood, which are taken straight to your liver for processing. Depending on how or low or plentiful these nutrients are in your body. The liver cells will either release the goodness to when it's needed or store it for when your body needs a boost. Or they also store it for not to be harmful to the body. And they're trying to hold back the toxins that accumulate there. So they don't want the blood to, they want the blood to go through the body as healthy as it can be. So we know, I'm just going to flip through this because we just brought this out in the last study about how we need energy from the liver and how it helps with glucose in your bloodstream and stores excess glucose. So we know that, and that excess glucose can sometimes turn into excess. And your liver can also convert non-sugars, such as amino acids, into glucose to keep levels healthy. It does some pretty impressive things with fats too. So your liver is your fat processing factory as well, and it breaks down fat and compounds such as lipoproteins, cholesterol, and phospholipids. And these fats we need healthy fats for our body as well, for energy, and the liver is able to make them work for you how it should. Of course, when we overdo our fats or have the wrong fats, then it becomes toxic for the liver to handle. So we end up having too much storage. It transports it to your body's storage deposits and ends up in the subcutaneous tissue just under the skin, which is fat under the skin. And the liver knows what to do with that what do we do? If we've ever seen areas where people load up, I was watching Lone Australia, I think, and they put them on this really hard place to live. I think it was Tasmania there, it gets very cold. And what they do to prepare themselves to go there, they feed up, make themselves really, have that extra storage of fat for them. And so when they go into this and they can't find food sources, what does their body do with that extra? The body can use it. So if they didn't have that, the body, and they didn't have food to eat for a period of time, their body's still able to subsist and sustain themselves from that extra. But in everyday society, we already have way too much to eat. And so the liver is like, it doesn't have a break. If it doesn't have a break, then it just stores up in there and it becomes overburdened, and then it affects the heart as well. So other organs are affected when the body is holding on to too much. So then at times when energy levels are low between meals during exercise, this stored fat is converted back into glycerol, and the liver turns the remaining fatty acids into an alternative energy supply. So exercise is very important to wear off as well. And what's another way to wear off extra and make the liver work? I'm going to start covering that in another health program. Fasting, right? Fasting also gives a break to the digestive system, gives a break to the liver, and the liver's able to work in and mend and kind of clear out a lot of stored waste and fat. We know proteins are also vital. So proteins are broken down into amino acids in your intestines, and they enter the bloodstream and flow direct to the liver. Here the liver cells go to work on removing nitrogen from the proteins, which rapidly changes into amino, a highly toxic substance. Your liver then acts fast to convert this into urea to be excreted into urine and eliminated from your body. So it's very important to keep the organs cleansing, keep them cleansing, keep the body to be able to take the poisons out of the system. When excess amino acids, your liver converts them into fat and storage, and these, if your body needs energy boost, it will use them to create glucose. So also the liver also contains vitamins and minerals. They're stored in there, and the body knows when to use it. It's amazing we don't have to tell the body, I think I need more vitamin C today, I need more vitamin, because what does the body do when we give it too much vitamins or nutrients from these really expensive vitamin stores? What does it do? It becomes expensive urine, doesn't it? It just flushes out. The body knows when it has too much. So how does the liver look out for you? When harmful toxins and substances enter your blood, and we realize that today, we heard that today, what is bombarding us today? We live in a toxic world. We can't really avoid the toxins that are in this world. So it's not like, oh, I eat a clean, healthy diet and everything's fine. You know, a lot of people come to me for a colonic. Oh, I don't need a colonic because I'm going at least, once a week. I'm fine. It's normal. Or even once a day, you don't realize that you may not be cleaning completely or the waste is eliminating. And same with the liver. We don't realize, because by the time that we find out that we have problems with our liver, it's been going on for a long, long time, especially people with fatty liver. They've had it for a long time. It's been building up in the liver. Your liver acts fast to detoxify and destroy them. Some may simply be a byproduct of a normal metabolism, and others may be ingested or inhaled substances such as drugs and alcohol. And that's a given. I mean, you look at the advertisements to medication, and some of the side effects actually state death as on the bottom line in small print, could cause death. I'm like, wow, yeah, I should take that. So be careful when you're knowing if your liver is clean, it can accept a lot of things and process it wisely. But if your liver is already congested and you're giving something on top of that, it can actually, like alcohol and all that, it can just make the liver, we know it can turn into liver damage. And you don't want to be taking them on a long series of time, because you want to find out, you want to get the problem taken care of. Don't want to say, oh, I'm deficient in this medication. You're not deficient, but your body needs to be more efficient in doing its job. Filtering the blood, your liver removes dead cells and invading bacteria. So thank you for the liver. We probably, from what we've done in our past and lived longer, we could be dead by now if our liver didn't do its job, if it didn't clean and sweep the problem invading poison out of our system. All unwanted substances and toxins are then quickly transported, and then they are removed by your kidneys and your intestine. One of the liver's most important function is to produce bile, about 1.5 litres a day, which is about just under a quart. A quart and a half? I looked up, it says like 6 cups, maybe 1 litre is 6 cups a day. So bile is very important. Bile aids absorption of fat and fat-soluble vitamins and flush out unwanted substances from your body, and it works there with the liver. Bile is like the best detergent there is for your body, and it's a cleansing, very, very highly cleansing liquid that helps basically wash out a lot of substances. It's stored in the gallbladder where it can be emptied into your intestine when needed. So it's like a little cup that sits there next to there, the liver, and it holds a little pocket of bile. And during the digestion process, the body seems to know, okay, we've got a lot of fat coming in now. So let's give it a good lot of detergent so we can kind of dilute this fat. So bile is more secreted more into the digestive process. So therefore, it can handle that. And also, just in normal absorption and using in digestion, it also helps with the pancreas as well. But when you remove the gallbladder, you don't have that little measuring cup there to measure. See, it's coming from the liver, but then the body then says, well, how much am I going to give when that person eats? And so it ends up like a drippy tap. So it may be giving you too much bile when you've had a meal or not enough bile. And so usually after, it's not all great, less pain or everything after a gallbladder surgery removal. A lot of people then have a lot of digestive issues from that. So it's important to keep our organs. And the way to keep our organs is to keep our body aware of cleansing, getting rid of things that happen to our body for a cause. They're not just sitting there, oh, they just happen to be there. They're a reason why your gallbladder gets gallstones or gets toxins in there. The liver is also greatly connected to the small intestine via the hepatic duct. And this tube makes a stop off along the way to the small, what I've just said, the small sac called the gallbladder, the little cup that's holding the bile. The gallbladder's main function is to store up bile for the meal and use it for consuming and helping the stomach process the digestion. The bile is very alkaline and not only used to help break down oils, but also used to neutralize your stomach acid when it enters the duodenal, the first part of your small intestine. Bile also removes toxins from the liver by deacidifying and cleansing the intestines. So there's a lot your liver does for you. So let's appreciate it. So how can you damage your liver? We know it's well known that alcohol can damage the liver. And we were talking at our lunch table today. We can not drink alcohol, but our digestion can kind of make a sort of alcohol by the combinations of food we eat, and it can register even a small amount on a breathalyzer test. So my brother, who'd had an accident, had a breathalyzer test, and it showed alcohol. And he's never drank alcohol, but he had been eating, bread and tomatoes and garlic, and I guess the combination and etc. There was a bit of fermentation going on in his gut, which showed up as alcohol. So, but if we continually eat the wrong combinations of food, and that we can have that burden on the liver, but not like the alcohol can, like the real alcohol, because that's a big dose. Caffeine. I guess we know anyone that drinks coffee? I think the whole world drinks coffee. I can't believe it's like they can't get up without a coffee, Why do they need a coffee to get up? Caffeine is a poison to the liver, and it's so irritant that a lot of people say, oh, it helps me regular, because I used to get that excuse doing colonics. It helps you to be regular, I have to drink coffee. Well, what is the coffee? The body takes it in. Oh, it's poison, let me get rid of it as quick as I can, and it's going to make the bowel try and throw it out. Oh yeah, it made me go. So, but that's a very poisonous way of getting the body to react. And why people drink it every morning? When you've had a good rest, you should wake up feeling energized for the day. Do you need a drug to stimulate you? That's what coffee is. It stimulates your adrenals and your hormones so that gives you an extra push. But by mid-morning, you're slumping again. And what do they reach for? What is another picker-upper? Sugar, donut, or something, some cake or something with coffee again. And that's another picker-upper, and it goes on, and the liver is just really having a hard time. We can know other drugs. Tobacco also damages the liver. A big fad now is a health fad, and I get asked this a lot because I do warm enemas with just water, and the big fad is coffee enemas. But what's really helping the body? It's the warm water that's giving the colon its soothing and hydration. You put coffee in that enema, it's just going to irritate the liver, which the liver will stimulate and dump some extra bile, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's healthy again, because it's poisoning the body the same way. My brother, he had cancer, he was doing the program where they give coffee enemas and doing regularly, and he went to visit me in Sydney, and he'd been on the train coming down. He hadn't slept for like 3 days straight. He wasn't a regular coffee drinker, but he was doing coffee enemas. And he was so jittery and so he chatted a lady's head off all the way on the train, all the way down. I think he gave her the gospel from Genesis to Revelation on the train, and he asked me to pick her up, and then I picked her up too and dropped her off to her place. And I could tell he was high, irritated, because his liver was so, adrenals were so pumped up. And when I got to my place, I said, no coffee enemas. I'll clean your bowel out with warm water, but that's all you need. So he slept for 3 days. His body was exhausted from that. And I knew that it's an irritant to the liver. So once damaged, your liver requires extra care. So then we have to be careful. Once we know that we have a problem, it's time to stop and say, okay, focus on that organ and let's work on it until it picks you up. So that's very important to make, it's telling your body to stop and look at me and fix me. So there is 80 to 100 million Americans that have fatty liver disease. A lot of, you hear of many people tell me, oh, I have fatty liver. And it's something they're just like, oh, that's just a thing that I've been told I have. But what are you doing about it? Poor diet, unhealthy weight, lack of exercise, high cholesterol, diabetes, heart disease can put you at risk of developing it as well. And once you've got fatty liver disease, that's a serious condition that you don't want to let it go any longer. Fat builds up in the cells, toxins build up in those little folds of the liver those little filters of the liver, and you've got these little toxic substances that kind of like form into little jelly blobs, and they can't necessarily detect them on screenings. So the liver looks fine until those little blobs actually block the liver, and it ends up into fatty liver disease. And when those little blobs sit there too long, they can actually start moving out into the bile ducts and go into the gallbladder, and they form little stones. They get hardened over years or time, and they can come out depends on how long they've been there. They can be green, they can be brown, they can be, you can take them to a lab, they can cut them open. There's people had liver stones as big as your thumb nearly, and cut them open, and they can say they've been calcified. So they've been, they're own stones, they're rocks in there. And they can stop when a gallstone gets stuck into bile duct and bile can't flow, then that's what usually causes the pain, the excruciating pain of a gallbladder stone getting stuck in the gallbladder. And then what happens then? What's the solution? To a surgeon, what is the solution? That's his job to cut it out. And so you won't have gallstones if a surgeon cuts your gallbladder out. So I often say, I won't have a headache if my head is taken off either. But we want to restore the gallbladder and the liver back to what it can function with. Sometimes I had a friend whose gallbladder was so bad, it was actually attached to her organs. It had the toxins, and the gallbladder had kind of grown into itself. So the only solution was, you need to cut that out, because it was just going to get worse. So surgery is needed for when the situation gets past helping. So scarring of the liver can build up, and inflammation lead to liver scarring, known as psoriasis. And psoriasis basically is the hardening of the liver. And when people have had when their liver's not functioning, it can come out in different ways. People can have gallstones. Other people will have skin problems. A major skin problem that a lot of people have that is very tough to handle or to get rid of is the elbows, the psoriasis there of the skin. That's very difficult, and that's I have a book on how to really cleanse the liver and really work on cleansing, getting new bile into it to help that, because it takes a good while to get rid of psoriasis of the skin. I had someone come in to my clinic, and he left a trail of skin behind him wherever he was. It was just flaking off him everywhere, and he was doing colon cleanses, and I had to really sterilize everything after he left. He was just just a mess, but it made a difference. It really helped a lot into just taking a lot of burden off the liver so that the skin could try and heal itself. Sunshine is a good one for that psoriasis of the skin. So how do we reverse fatty liver? Well, fatty liver can gather up to 20,000 stones before it succumbs to suffocation and ceases to function. So the filter is totally plugged and got all these little mucoid little junks in there. So keeping your diet low in fat will reduce the processing work the liver has to do. I'm talking about unhealthy fats. We need some healthy fats, which are in the form of a lot of foods. We eat avocados, nuts, cold-pressed oils, some. But there's also hard evidence that exercise can help prevent and even reverse. If you have diabetes or heart disease, consume only small amounts of fat and make sure they're unsaturated fats to keep cholesterol levels under control. With all systems of the body, balance is the key. And the body's always trying to do that. It's trying to bring homeostasis, which is balancing. It's trying to, if we do too much, it's trying to balance out so that we can function. If something becomes out of balance, like eating too much, and as we get older, we know our organs are not like as energetic as they were when we were young, and we can't bounce back as quick, right? And if we have too much fat, it's like, oh man, I wished I had never eaten that. But when we're younger, we can eat that and run off and play, and it doesn't affect us as much. But this accumulation, like anytime you start getting middle age, we start creaking and groaning. And that's the time to really focus on those organs to help our body not creak and groan. So many diseases that involve a slowing or breaking down of liver function are accompanied by jaundice of the skin and eyes because the liver is unable to flush out the byproduct of breaking down old red blood cells. And we know even when a child is jaundice, what do they look like? What is their problem? Their bilirubin and their liver is not functioning right. What usually helps? Our child was born premature and he had jaundice. The best thing that helped him, we rolled him out in the morning sun, let him bask in the sun, and the sun helped. And Agatha Thrash, back then, she also said diluted slurry, charcoal slurry, also helps a very tiny infant break down bilirubin. So that helps the liver. And when you're older, it looks very bad when, have you ever seen someone that's very yellow? Extremely yellow? Yeah, I have. And it was from actually, they lived near a field that there were crop spraying nearby. And one of the young daughters, the doctors couldn't figure out why she was so yellow, turning so yellow, and they knew it was a problem. And they figured out it was the poison from the spray, from the crop spraying. Another problem that can occur, we know, is gallstones. And they can go and thicken up in the bile. And this thickening of bile is caused by particles precipitating out in the bile itself. You can have this biliary sludge and not even know it's in this condition. The important question is, how can such a simple thing as obstructed bile flow can cause such complex disease as congestive heart failure, diabetes, and cancer? So everyone develops a small crystallization in his or her kidneys and gallbladders. Some people have literally hundreds of stones that have accumulated in their bodies. In approximately 1 out of 4 people, these crystallizations eventually grow large enough to require medical attention, or to require your attention too, because a lot of times the screening does not see them. Except when, it was funny when my husband was in the hospital and they diagnosed him that he had gallstones, and that was the problem, and he had a gallstone stuck in his bile duct and the gallbladder had gallstones, that he needed to have his gallbladder removed. But when he decided to back out and do this flush, and you could see that was just one flush that he did, but he did, and I did it with him because I knew I'd probably have them too, and we had pictures. We have pictures of all these stones that came out on each flush. So we went to another doctor and he showed the stones in the ultrasound there, and he showed the stones getting smaller and smaller. And Peter's, one of his stones actually started dissolving and getting smaller. And so, and mine too, mine actually cleaned out. My gallbladder was like, and I had them there. So one was telling me that those stones needed surgery, I mean the gallbladder, but then when we didn't have it out, then it's like, oh, you didn't have stones to start with. But we had proof that they were there and they were being cleaned out by surgery, by the flush, gallbladder flush. And I had lots of clients come to me in the clinic because part of the process is actually cleansing the bowel, because the stones, the way the stones are removed is through the gallbladder into the large intestine. The large intestine expels them out through the bowel. And so that's how you can detect them, through a strainer. And so that's what a lot of clients were coming to me, telling me about it, and one of them told me about the book. To go and order this book and read this book and you'll know what to do. And so I supplied some of the stuff for them to do, and then I assisted them in their cleanse, because they needed to have a bowel cleanse during that. And so that gave me proof that this liver cleanse is really helping. And when you've got people coming into your clinic and you know that they're eating all sorts of things, they're not on a plant-based diet, but it's helping them tremendously. Huge testimonies of how they had to step away from getting surgery and having a gallbladder and a better liver from doing that. Also, we know that a lot of gluten intolerances is linked to the liver not being able to process and hold on to being able to get rid of that excess poison from the protein in the wheat. And it does feel, if you've switched to gluten-free, like I feel the difference if I've had regular pasta to brown rice pasta. To me, I feel the difference. It's easier to digest. So when you switch to more gluten-free products, I find the liver, the digestion can handle it, and it's not so hard on the liver. So celiac disease, psoriasis, we've just talked about. Psoriasis, the hardening of the liver, which forms scar tissue, and it can be let too long, it can be irreversible, which I've kind of gone through some of the causes of psoriasis. And we can, also look at that, where you can get parasite infections, the bile duct diseases, etc., hepatitis. I know hepatitis was going through our school when I was young, but luckily I wasn't eating a animal fat diet, and I was able to not have hepatitis. But that hepatitis was quite a problem back, I think, in the years when we were going to school. They had to test people for it. And long exposure to toxins or drugs. And you know, people that have been exposed in the past, they've had to work in factories under bad conditions, they're exposed to a lot of toxins, and it's over a period of time that their liver can't handle it, and it comes up in lots of autoimmune diseases, and the body tries to deal with it in other areas of the body. So what happens is the liver gets suffocated with these stones, and the little fibrous little tissue, if you ever sliced a liver, has anyone seen a liver, actual liver being cut open from an animal? And it's just these little tiny thin fibers. and they can be obstructed and then blocked. So like our key verse said, let us lay aside every weight. All those little things are weighing on the body. They're making it hard for the body to function. And it could be anything that's building up. Our liver, our bowel, they're putting weight on our body. We need to free ourselves. And in the Bible wants us to be pure, to be clean. We know that it is a very forgiving organ. It can regenerate itself, and that's very nice to know. But there's only so much it can forgive, right? And it's not the liver's fault. Is it the liver's fault? It's usually because we're not listening to the signs of our liver. So how do we love our liver? Exercise. Find something you like doing, that you like moving. I think we emphasize a lot on diet, but a lot of healthy people around you that you may think, wow, how have they maintained themselves? They're so active. I mean, a lot of people out there, they're active. They're into sports. Their kids are going to this sports and that sports. And we're not necessarily involved in all that, so try and find something that you can actively do to keep your body moving. Find something you like doing. I love being in water, so I do every acroaerobic exercise there is. And I love it because it's my dopamine. Whether it's cold water or hot water, doesn't matter. If you like walking, go for a walk. Being outside, getting your energy, building something, be constructive. Your children love to be active with you. That's a big thing, is knowing that they did something with you. If you've got goats, they'll keep you active, chasing them. Or kids. I'm talking the little two-legged kids. So this in turn leads to development of gallstones and other liver congestion problems. So it weakens our immune system, and we know that exercise also makes you feel good. It actually brings up your level of hormones. That actually keeps your happy hormones going. So like you were saying, Peter was saying that when you're angry or showing those emotions that you can't really deal with, go for a walk. What does the walk often do? It clears your mind. It stimulates blood flow, and blood flow is what is needed in the liver to go in and out. The liver's trying to get clean blood in there to be able to do its job. And but don't be away too long, like weeks at a time. Come back home sometimes if you're angry and sort it out. Avoid fad diets. What are fad diets? I mean, we wow, that must work, wow, and let's go. Fad diets usually go to the extreme. A big fad diet was, I see is like the keto diet or whatever, to just eat meats, and sometimes they just go eat raw meat. That's so dangerous because you're eating all the toxins from the animal. And you may feel good for a little bit because usually they say, oh, you've got to have your vegetables with it. But a lot of times that ends up it's not a long-term health benefit. They can drop your weights for a little bit, but then it doesn't work in the long run. So fad diets, they also recommend, they'll make us lose weight in a short time. And those, what happens when you back off the fad diet without changing? We just kind of go back to what we were. So the main thing is to take little steps to actually change, to make those changes something that you like doing. And when you like doing something, you'll keep at it. Same with when you first start eating more raw foods or whatever. keep adding a little bit more into your diet so that you will feel it's a normal thing to do. So limit your fat intake, avoid alcohol and caffeine, and these are just going over what alcohol does. These drinks greatly dehydrate the body as well. So what happens to, I can't understand why people drink alcohol to get drunk, and then how do they feel the next day? I've never heard someone wake up and say, wow, I'm so glad I drank all that last night. You know why it's so bad? It's because it's so dehydrating to this. They wake up, before they even go to sleep, they're throwing up and everything like that. Their body is trying to get rid of that poison. And then when you're severely dehydrated, what do? You can get nausea, wanting to vomit, etc. And then it's like, well, okay, you've done it once. You think you'd never want to do it again. Why? I still don't understand that mentality of going out and trying that nasty stuff again. And at the same time, it's damaging the liver. So water is the best hydrator. Every cell in our body needs water. And it's so hard to encourage people to drink water. They're like, oh, I don't want to drink water, And I'm like, what is so hard about drinking a cup and having a glass? What's they're so afraid of? With the elderly, a lot of them, it's the inconvenience of using the bathroom, because what does water do naturally? It filters, it cleanses the kidneys. And also other people when I start drinking water, I have to pee a lot. Well, that's telling you because you are dehydrated and the body is trying to use that little bit of water that you finally gave it to, I'm going to start cleaning, and you'll be peeing. But once you get into the balance of a good, healthy water intake, especially on Sabbath, we forget to drink water, then our body will be able to hold and retain and use that water. And we won't swell up, we won't have swellings in our ankles, etc., and that, because the body doesn't need to retain the water that it needs. Sometimes too, I used to get the lady that I used to look after, she didn't like water, so I would make a little herbal tea in water. It had a little bit of flavour to it or a bit of lemon to it, that's fine. And then you're getting hydrated. So increasing sweating also takes the load off the liver, as we said, and if you help the skin, the toxins come out through the skin, you're also taking the load off your liver, and if you're taking the load off your liver, your also skin will clear up. So especially young people, if their skin is having problems, drink lots of water, help the body, and have a sauna, and also that helps your immune system as well, helps your lymphatic system. Go for blood tests. A blood test is the best way to keep an eye on the fat, cholesterol and glucose in your blood, all of which are associated with fatty liver disease. Quit smoking. Smoking's been linked to liver cancer. And eat a plant-based diet, because the plant-based diet has cleansing properties that help not only cleanse us but nourish us. So it's what the body is needing. And if you have liver problems, what is in the liver we just talked about? Bile. And what is especially good for the liver? Anything that's bitter, like bitter greens. I know there's in Brazil, there's a real bitter green. Yeah, that's it. That's really good for your liver. Arugula or arugula, or any of those herbs, dandelion greens, any of those herbs, if you mix them, sprouts and all that, if you mix those really strong flavoured greens, the darker the greens, that's very good and cleansing for the liver. Some people think that they're helping by actually drinking bile, but your body doesn't make bile by drinking bile. Your body makes bile by keeping the liver functioning so that it can make the bile that you need. And having a liver flush, a liver cleanse, I had one Thursday night, Friday morning, building up to it. You start 5 days before, but it's very simple. 5 days before, you just take a little bit of malic acid or apple juice to soften up the little stones. But on the last day, the main thing that you're doing for the liver cleanse is you're stimulating a good bile flush. And that bile flush will flush out and go into the liver, sweep out, clean out the build-up, and then from the gallbladder, and then it dumps it out into the bowel. And you can see the results. And I did, after my 7th cleanse, I think Peter was on a few months ahead of me. You don't want to do one more than every 4 weeks if you're going to start doing it. But on my 7th one, I popped out a stone, quite a large stone, and straight after that I felt the lift of my energy. And it was amazing. I felt so much energy from that. And even like yesterday, your body has to recover because it's like doing internal surgery. Your body has to recover, give it rest. And I find the best way is to fast, so that the body is actually focusing on that liver cleanse and not worrying about digestion. So once you finish that, you will secrete a lot of bile into the bath, into the toilet, and that in turn has now given you a clean, fresh bile to work with. So the liver has a little bit more to actually work, and you can feel that difference. And that's why the bitter greens, the different herbs and all that will also increase the bile. Juicing as well. One sister was telling me today, beetroot juice is very good for the liver, and also it helps cleanse our blood, because we need the blood flow to flow through the filters. We know the side effects of medications. Always make sure that you're getting advice from your doctor. Look it up yourself, because a lot of times doctors don't tell you the side effects. And if you get something, look it up and see if you're willing to handle those side effects from your body. Because I've met someone that were taking drugs to offset the side effects from the first drugs, to offset the side effects from those drugs, and it become the body end up really, really struggling. So find out what the root cause is, and medications can serve you to only a certain, to get past the emergency situation that your body's going through. I mean, sometimes you will heal faster by a bit of pain relief than gritting yourself through the pain, right? So a lot of times you may need some pain relief when you're going through some pain, but then figure out why you're having the pain and to get rid of the cause. Herbs for the liver, we'll learn a bit of this tomorrow too. Dandelion, milk thistle, and they're the two big ones. You often find them in liver capsules and herbal teas, dandelion and milk thistle. To cleanse the liver, you can cleanse the liver even if you don't have a gallbladder, or if you don't have, because then now just realize the liver needs more focus, more cleansing, because it's the only thing there that can be helped, because you don't have the storage of the bile in the gallbladder. So cleansing the liver and gallbladder is one of the most important and powerful approaches you can take to improve your health. It's not difficult. It's just a step by step. It's not hard to do. I'm sure we've faced harder things in life than having a bit of apple juice and grapefruit and olive oil. It's not hard to do. So it may take years of chronic liver congestion before the liver damage is apparent. And the same thing with cancer. It can be there for many, many years before the body reveals itself that there's a problem. So to have a clean liver equals a new lease of life. And I know it's worked, and I'm hoping that you will have a go at it. And I know there are some brethren here that have already tried it. It actually brought them a lot of health and energy again and got rid of a lot of stomach and digestive issues that they were having. Brother Josue, he tried it. And it brought him back to health again. So hopefully you will feel the difference when you have a liver cleanse. So let's try it starting tomorrow or whenever you're ready. Tomorrow we're just going to give you the tools and we will give you the instructions, and I'm here anytime you need to actually move you through it. If you feel like you need a colon cleanse through it, I have it set up at home, and it's very easy to follow. So even if you want to stay at my place, I have a big house with lots of rooms to follow you through. It's just basically one evening of a process. You have something at 6 and 8 and 10, and then your body does the rest. Okay? So let's finish now with a song that you will sing with inspiration. How do I get the slideshow? Top, right.
That one doesn't have an arrow. Wow. Amazing.
It's like the car works when a mechanic walks by. It doesn't work for you. It's can you wing it? Oh, okay. 72. You don't... Oh.